So welcome to my Zoom interview, HARP twins.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Where are you talking to us from?
We're actually at our home in Northern Illinois right now. We are home for just a few days between performances, and we'll be heading soon to Alaska.
I know, we're all very excited. You know,
we're very excited.
I made a little post just now saying that I was about to do this interview, and it instantly, people started clicking. I think you guys made a really good impression last time, kind of blew people away with all of this amazing talent.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind. Well, Alaska blew us away. That's all we can say. Yeah.
So, you know, it's such a beautiful place, especially when you guys are here. June is like the peak month for Alaska, for scenery and just accessibility. It's so easy to get to these places. So my thought is, I'm watching your videos on YouTube and you're always in these unique locations. Did you take any footage while you were here that will end up in a video?
We sure did. We definitely did. For one thing, we just couldn't seem to stop filming while we were there. Yes, we felt like the crazy people who are just walking around saying, wow, wow. Like it didn't make us seem very intelligent when all you say is wow as you're looking around, but it was just incredible. We actually filmed an original music video, original music video for our song Sky Isle, and that we released, 2 months ago now, I think? So we filmed in a bunch of different places for that, and it was just so stunning. So we definitely are planning to do a lot more filming while we're there. The nice thing is it never gets dark. So, you know, as long as we don't need to sleep, we can just use all of our time. Yes. We actually have a few music videos we're hoping to film there during our time this trip.
I'm assuming you went to Hatcher Pass, right?
Oh, we did. We did a lot. We saw a lot while we were in Alaska last time. In fact, we went all the way up to the Arctic Sea. So we were all over the place. We went all the way up to Prudhoe Bay in between the 2 weekends that we were performing there. And so we saw a lot of Alaska last time and hoping to see a lot more this time. It's just, it's one of those places that we've always wanted to visit. And our whole lives, we always remember our mom talking about Alaska because her parents took her there when she was a kid. They actually drove there when the highway was just gravel coming up from Northern Illinois, you know, through a lot of the kind of wilderness and in Canada and everything. But she always used to talk about Alaska and how it's her favorite place. And she hadn't been back since she was really young herself. So, and she came with us, of course, when we were up there last summer. And so it was really.
Did she feel the same excitement that she remembered? Or?
Oh yes. Yeah, definitely. I think it was even better than she remembered. We're definitely obsessed. We're all obsessed. I know. We feel like someday we might just have to move to Alaska because it's amazing.
Well, we would welcome you for sure.
Oh, it's very kind. Thank you.
You know, my first experience with Alaska, I was in school years ago in South Mississippi. And this new girl came to class wearing snow boots for show and tell day. And her name was Allison Crewthird. As a matter of fact, she's probably going to watch this video because we're still friends on Facebook. But that was my first thought about Alaska that I remember. And she talked about Alaska and we all thought snow boots, you know, we didn't even get snow. So the idea that there were boots just for snow was pretty novel to the Mississippi elementary kids.
Right. So cute.
It might have been middle school, either way. But yeah, it's an intoxicating place. It really captures your imagination, and it's got such extremes. No one should move here until they've experienced a winter here.
We actually do really want to experience winter there. We've heard amazing things. I know it's very difficult in winter as well, but it's just, there's a lot of beauty to winter that we really love. Alaska's full of a lot of tough people, which is awesome.
Yes. Well, and you guys even talk about, I think I watched one video, there's a lot about ice. Right? You refer to ice a lot. And I'm guessing this is the Nordic background, right? Is that
a lot of our heritage is Scandinavian, Norwegian, and in fact, we had a lot of ancestors that lived north of the Arctic Circle. So in Norway, so they would have been experiencing quite harsh conditions. But we just we love winter. We love snow and ice, and just the beauty and the quietness sometimes that happens that season. So we've written a lot of original music based on kind of our love of winter, I guess. Our original album is called Iceborne. So
yes. I always kind of romanticized cold weather when I was a kid because it was always so hot where I grew up and so humid. It was really the humidity. I thought it was the heat, but it was the humidity that I hated. And and when I came here, my first winter was really kind of deceptive because it really wasn't that. It was a very mild winter. I believe that was 03 or 02, maybe it was 02. But then a few years later, we got a really hard winter. And, I still didn't mind it, but there's this feeling of being on the edge of death. You know that just outside the door at 40 below, you feel like you really shouldn't be here. Like there's something primal that tells you.
Somehow nature's allowing you to be a visitor. Yeah, I feel like it probably gives you a lot more respect for, kind of the frailness of humanity compared to what's out there in the world.
For sure. Yeah, it definitely does. And then, of course, you see bears and they're so cute, but they're really literally monsters that will kill you. And so there's this weird extreme in Alaska that you see it repeated over and over. The salmon runs, there's no salmon, and then there's so many salmon you can walk on them in the streams. I mean, it's a very extreme place, but
wild and free.
Yes, that's a Hobo Jim song, by the way. So yes, Hobo Jim passed away last year, but he was the state balladeer. And actually, it wasn't last year; it was earlier this year. But he was the state balladeer, and Alaska has an inordinate amount of musicians and music history because of people like Hobo Jim. There's a lot of Alaskana. It's a genre of music where it's folk songs or bluegrass written about Alaska.
That's amazing.
It would be awesome if you guys wrote an Alaska song.
That was super fun. We'll have to do that. Maybe we'll have to do that sometime. Who knows?
So I wanted to shift gears because I was listening to some of the new material, HARP Attack 4, which is, well, it's not the newest, but it's I was listening to the songs on Spotify, and I'm fascinated as a musician myself with what songs translate well to harp. And certain ones really do translate more. Like when I'm hearing them, I think, wow, that almost could have been how it was written. And the two that stood out to me were 500 Miles, which surprised me. And I think it's because it's that bouncy feeling. It has a bounce to it, and the plucking has a bounce to it. And the Beach Boys, Good Vibrations, both of those. And neither of those are really, you wouldn't think of that as a stereotypical harp song, either one of them.
No. Yeah, it's always a huge honor whenever anyone says, hey, that song I like that better than the original. Or that
it sounds like it was written for the harp, because to us, that means that we really succeeded in what we had hoped to do
because taking a song that was written and played by an entire rock band or orchestra or whatever the case may be, and then playing it on two kind of what people would consider limited instruments. You don't have all that. We're the rhythm and the bass and the melody and the guitar line, and we kind of have to figure out how to weave that into something that sounds actually good and recognizable.
It's a super fun challenge for us, and it's always fun to play our music for people that have never heard it before. Because if we tell someone, oh, we play a lot of classic rock and metal and of course Nordic Celtic songs and harps, they think, wow, that sounds like it will not work very well.
A lot of people think, wow, that sounds terrible. And then whenever anyone comes to a concert, they're like, wow, that actually works. So it's a fun thing to be able to, I guess, expose the harp to people that might not have traditionally thought that they might like that instrument, or to present it to them in a completely new way from. Yeah, the harp's been a bit left behind other instruments, I feel like, just in the grand scheme of music and progression. Most people would just consider the harp, okay, it's tea rooms and maybe a wedding or elevator music, and then actually creating something that the general public would enjoy listening to, at a concert.
And for us, we play full shows, so we need to make it so that people actually want to sit there
for several hours
and listen to just two people on harps.
And actually our live concerts have a lot more than just music. We also include like comedy and bits, and we talk to the audience a lot and have a lot of interaction. So it's fun for us. Live shows are something I think appreciate more than ever now that things have kind of started back up again after the pandemic. And it's so nice to be able to see like live faces smiling at us again from the audience.
Yeah, and in fact, when we were in Alaska last year, it was the start of our touring after being off for well over a year, almost a year and a half.
So it was a bit of shock to the system. All of a sudden we were back up and running at these, big
literally
festivals.
Just been the two of us, seeing each other all the time.
Yeah.
Now,
if you feel like you're crazy, try the pandemic with your twin.
It's so great because we've been touring nonstop since last summer, and it's really lovely to be back, seeing real people again in front of us for audiences.
Yeah, so it feels full circle to coming back to Alaska now, because that was our first post-pandemic kind of concert exposure, I guess.
Yeah.
I was just talking to one of my employees when I came in to get set up that one of the good things about the pandemic is now this Zoom interview thing has become very normalized. So it makes things like this possible, where we can talk while you're across the country.
Yeah, it's really, I think people have opened up maybe more of a willingness to do online things, which is great.
I mean, it's interesting how you get these points in time where all of a sudden technology seems to just kind of move forward.
And for us, we started an online concert series and we've continued on with it. So we still produce these online concerts, and it's really nice because we especially don't get to tour a lot internationally. And so we now get to have an online series that we also have for fans around the world.
Maybe people that are stuck at home or whatnot.
Those concerts are for your fan base. So it's like a paid concert, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Tell me about that.
We have a Patreon community, and it's a really fun way for us to just connect with a smaller group of people. And we have an online concert series, an ongoing one.
So like whole families can sit there from anywhere in the world and just watch a concert.
We have a new music video every month for free on our YouTube channel. So we actually provide like behind the scenes content for patrons, so they get an extra like glance at the making of our monthly music videos. And of course, everyone can watch our music videos for free online, but then there's extra content for our patrons.
But for stuff like the online concert series, we kind of started that during the pandemic, thinking it would probably stop once the pandemic kind of ended and we went back to live touring. But we've continued to do these online concerts just because the world, it connects us to the whole world, not just people who can happen to go and live in the states where we're traveling to.
Yeah, and we love them, and our online community loves them. We do a different theme every month. So I think our most recent one, we called it Metal in the Garden, and we're actually out in our
little deck garden and
playing metal music.
That is so weird that you would say Metal in the Garden. One of my comments on my list of things to talk to you about was, so one of my favorite gospel songs is In the Garden, which you cover beautifully, I might add. I love that song. And I was thinking about the juxtaposition of that next to Iron Maiden, like, so you've got metal, but you've got gospel. So it's just really interesting how much ground you cover artistically in your work.
It's true. I guess we kind of never really thought about it, just because we play the music that we like, but that makes it so we actually, I guess, have the whole gamut of music, really.
Yeah, we play everything. We've done quite a few hymns, and In the Garden was specifically, we did that in honor of our grandma that passed away, and she loved that song.
But we also do Celtic music, and obviously Scottish music, and original music, and
which
rock
is kind
and
of
metal, and even some pop stuff. So yeah, I guess when people ask us like, oh, what genre are you? We don't really have a genre. We kind of are our own genre, I guess.
And so we play music that we love. And I think that that's our way of truly connecting with an audience, because if we don't love the music we're playing, there's no way an audience is going to love it.
And it's fun because pretty much anyone can come to a concert of ours and they're going to hear something that they know and probably like. We have so many people that come up and, maybe it's a couple and the guy and girl don't like the same types of music, but they're like, we never like the same types of music, but we both like your music because it kind of combines what we like, that sort of thing. So that's really fun.
Awesome. That's awesome. So you got the classical nerd and the metal nerd that got married, and they find they find common ground in the harp twins.
That's right. I guess that's kind of who we are because we're classically trained.
Yeah, I was about to say that's another genre that we've played quite a bit, and we've actually released a couple things recently that are in the classical genre. We did Morning Mood by Grieg and some Debussy, and included that in an album that was kind of a Celtic classical feeling, because that goes back to our roots of starting harp and what we began
our
playing.
Classical roots, I guess.
Yeah.
Now I saw a video, Linus and Lucy, and I believe it was Kennerly playing the piano, right?
We actually both play the piano and both play the harp in there. So
yeah, and I think
switching up.
Yeah, and some of the time we were both playing piano and stuff. So yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
piano was our first instrument. That's what we kind of started learning music on, and we went through and long enough to be proficient in our conservatory requirements.
Because our university degrees are in classical music, and you need classical piano studies for whatever instrument you pick. You still need classical piano proficiency.
Harp was our true love, but we needed that proficiency in piano. And so yeah, sometimes we'll go back and play a little bit of piano, even though harp is our passion.
Well, I was researching the harp, and according to the limited research I've done, the harp is considered the oldest instrument. Which I didn't know that. I always thought it was the flute.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because as we've kind of grown our online fan base around the world, there's a lot of countries that kind of claim the harp as like, oh, we invented the harp.
Well, they did. Sort of.
But I think it's because a lot of different countries, like a lot of different places in the world, were developing similar instruments at the same time. And so the theory I've heard is that harp started off as kind of a bow and arrow type of thing. Right. So they took the weapon and then
they realized that plucking that string made a tone. And then if they added in additional strings, they could
which makes sense because tones. That would be a very basic instrument that, you know, a lot of people might have been able to kind of discover even, you know.
Yeah, so I think it was probably developed around a similar time in many places around the world, which is really unique. But yes, it's a super ancient instrument, the harp or the lyre or some kind of form of that bowed plucked instrument. So
yeah, and I think even in like all these ancient texts, like even the Bible, I think it's the first instrument that was mentioned in the Bible was the harp.
King David played the harp.
Yeah, he did, and apparently pretty well. So
yeah, well, and the Psalms written by King David, we should presume that they were written for the harp, right?
Yeah, very, very likely.
That's his instrument.
That was his instrument, and so I think he was obviously a lyricist or a poet, but also an instrumentalist primarily with the harp. That's what we're told, and so it's pretty neat. He's
I guess we have a little head start for heaven.
Yeah,
that's right. You do. That's the angels play the harps, right? Well, so I don't guess that even though we have the biblical text, I don't think there's any written sheet music. I don't even know if they had sheet music back then.
I don't think so. I think it would have been more. I think it would have been more bardic, like
probably an
oral tradition, and people would have passed along music.
So I guess we don't know what it exactly what it might have sounded like, but
I'm sure it was beautiful.
Oh yes, well, it must have been. So you mentioned the piano, and we've talked about the history of the harp, which is fascinating to me. And I was going to bring up the bow thing until Camille brought it up, but so the piano, at least the grand piano, has a harp-like structure within it. So really the piano is a derivative of the harp, right? But it's a percussion instrument as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's something I guess most people don't know, which is that harp and piano are both since they're either hammered or plucked, they're not in the bowed category, which would be the string instrument family.
So people think of, the harp obviously has a lot of strings, but it's technically not a string instrument
because it's not
category.
Bowed.
Yes.
So what is it?
It's
the harp?
It's technically in the percussion family,
really?
since it's plucked versus
bowed. I know it's kind of crazy.
I understood the piano because of the hammers and the striking, but the plucking, I guess it is a form of percussion, but at what point? So the guitar, what's the difference? The guitar could be called a percussion.
I don't even know who makes these decisions. So,
I know who was this person that said that, but
it has strings, so it's a string instrument.
I said last time you were here when I first met you, it occurred because I love alliteration because I'm a word nerd. So the piano is a hammered harp and the harp is a plucked piano. Right?
I guess so. I guess we'll have to find out I guess if the harp was developed first, then it gets the distinction of of being the original. Yeah.
But the piano would be derivative. So
yeah, I would think so.
It was invented far after the harp,
and the harpsichord would have been first, actually, with the before
piano.
Oh well, yeah, and it even has it in the name, harpsichord.
Yes, and then they would have, and then it became the piano, what they called the pianoforte, when they kind of developed it further and expanded it as
an piano that we know today is a rather modern instrument. It's true.
Although so is the modern concert grand harp, or the modern way we play that classical instrument.
So the question I've always wondered, and I've never asked anyone, but it's always occurred to me when I'm because I do a lot of sound engineering for bands. Why do we call a harmonica a harp?
You know what?
It has nothing in common.
It doesn't, and I feel like it makes things confusing. You know, I think it should probably be the harmonica, because otherwise, no one will,
if you call it a harp, it does make things more confusing. But I think that's, you know, calling the harmonica a harp or a mouth harp. I don't know if we can ever go back on that. It's just kind of part of the
modern vernacular.
Yes, so I don't know if that's going to go away, but it does make things a little confusing.
It's a reed instrument, right? It's got little reeds in it.
I don't know a lot about the harmonica, but
I guess we should.
Just to clear things up, you need to be armed with knowledge. I saw in one of your videos, your grandfather had a harmonica shape with a harp shape.
Yeah,
that's a cool little item.
We have that in our harp room, but our grandfather did play harmonica
and quite well, I think. So
a lot of twins in your family?
No, actually, identical twins don't have any genetic component. We're just completely random throughout the population. So
freaks of nature.
Yeah, fraternal twins. Fraternal twins have a genetic component. You know, sometimes they do run in families, but you know,
with all that science knows about humans, they still don't know exactly
why identical twinning occurs.
That's very interesting. You're not happy. You don't happen to be Geminis, do you? That would be.
that would be cool. We just let all the stars.
Aren't all twins? No.
In a way, yes.
We let all the stars work in our favor. So.
Yes. So let's talk about why you're really coming to Alaska, or at least the main reason. You're coming for the Alaska Scottish Highland Games for the second time, right?
That's right. We're going to be performing at the Alaska Scottish Highland Games on June 25th and 26th.
And then the Kachemak Bay Highland Games on July, I think it's 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, 2nd and 3rd.
We're so excited to be back. Jenny, who runs the Alaska Scottish Highland Games, said she had never received so many requests to bring back a band. So it was just really,
it's such an honor.
Really melted our hearts. And we love Alaska and Alaskans, and we're just so honored that they love us as well. And we're so excited to be returning.
Just having the opportunity to perform in Alaska once was really just a bucket list experience, but having the opportunity to come back is
we feel so honored and so blessed, and we're just really excited. And of course, we'll have a couple of preview performances
at the Palmer Friday Flings.
Right. Thank you very much, by the way.
And your concerts in the park.
Music in the Park, yes,
in Wasilla.
Well,
and so those will be on Friday before the Alaska Scottish Highland Games.
Well, and I personally, because I'm involved heavily with both of those events, but I really thank you for doing that, because you're going to come out just like last time. You're going to do an exhibition performance. It'll give people a taste of what they can expect when they inevitably show up at the Scottish Highland Games, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little preview teaser.
And we had the opportunity to play both of those events last year as well, and they were both a blast. So we're so excited to return.
We're also excited because this year, for a few of our songs for each set for what we're doing for the Alaska Scottish Highland Games, and otherwise we're going to have the Wolfgang twins join us on double drums. So it'll be like a whole twin freak show happening.
Oh yeah, that's.
But yeah, so we're just so excited to be returning. We've got a lot of exciting music planned.
A big variety too.
A big variety.
Everything from the Celtic things to rock and metal and originals. So it'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a blast.
Well, you know, I've been you mentioned the Wolfgang. How do you Wolf?
Wolfgang. The old school.
I followed them on YouTube as well, and
awesome.
And I really enjoy what they do. They're such creative guys. so I need to make sure that I see this performance with all four of you. That's
awesome. Well, we'll see if we can also include them in the pre-show thing.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be super fun. They have to tone down a little bit for our music, since ours is a little calmer than their Viking war music.
Right. But like you said, the harp started as a bow. So you know, it's an instrument of war. It is.
Yeah. Well, we lead the armies out to, you know, I guess a peaceful war.
Yeah. Unlike actually the instrument that I normally don't like, but occasionally I do, is the bagpipe. And it was intended to put fear in the hearts of your enemies, right? That's what they say.
You sure can hear it from a distance.
Oh, so. Yes. And it is foreboding. It's like, what is that sound?
Yeah. Well, you know, the Scottish people have been fearsome throughout history. I mean, they've needed to defend their land and their people, and it's a pretty epic history they have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Declaration of Arboroath, I think it was kind of like their Declaration of Independence. And I like to study, you know, that sort of thing, constitutions and stuff, and that is a very interesting document. They actually claim to go back to Egypt. They associate themselves with Israel, and they claim their right to freedom in that declaration as going back to having been part of that Exodus, which is fascinating to think about.
That is so cool. Well, no, we think, as you know, we have Scandinavian heritage. We feel like we have a connection with the Scots as well, because
we do have a Scottish ancestor. We might be only like a 64th, but you know, we're running with it.
Plus, the Vikings definitely made it to Scotland, so I'm sure we have some shared blood in there.
Well, I did that DNA thing. I don't know if you've ever done the DNA test. I was a little nervous because of Big Brother and whatnot, but I did the DNA test, and it came back that I was surprisingly mostly Scottish.
Wow.
And my whole life I've been told Fryfogle's a Swiss German name. And so I've always been told we were a German family. Turns out we're a Scottish family.
Wow. Well, who would have known? Well, you fit right in at the Highland Games.
But then I still don't like the bagpipes. So
that's okay. That's okay. You know, the harp kind of fits in. So, you know. Yes.
Yeah. And Guinness is a wonderful beer. If you're into beer, the harp, it's a symbol of great beer.
Symbol is
they do have the best logo.
They have the best
Absolutely.
logo.
Yes. Well, so thank you both so much for talking to me today. I know the viewers are going to love it. We're going to take bits and pieces of this and put it on the radio station as well to help promote. And we're going to add a couple of your songs into rotation on 95.5 The Pass. So people can tune in over the next couple of weeks and hear it, and they'll hear these clips with us chit-chatting. Well, thank you both, and we will see you very soon.
All right, wonderful. It's great. Thanks for having us.